All right, Shalom. First and foremost, all praise and glory is unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, HaChakwadash, that belong to our apostles, the bishops, the elders of the great millstone. Greetings, salutations, blessings, but love unto you, elect out there. Shalom unto you. You brought Shaquat with a video, and really, this video is inspired by a dream I just had. I just awoke from a dream, and it's it's been about an hour since I've been trying to make sense of this dream. When I first awoke from the dream, it still wasn't quite bright outside. Okay. Further playing into the dream, and I've been trying to make sense, and I gathered a few scriptures about it. Um, Trying to make sense of it all. Um, Kind of a weird dream, and every once in a while I have dreams, um, and even I can paint and draw a little bit, so sometimes I'll even draw my dreams. This one, and that was part of the process that when I woke up, um, trying to envision uh, how to paint the dream, basically. Okay, and I found some inspiration, the things to do. Of course, I can't do it in a few minutes or an hour or so, but I got some ideas. But we'll see how that plays out later. But the point of the dream is, um, yeah. So we're at camp, um, and I don't recall where we were at camp. It's us here in Vegas, but it didn't feel like we were in Vegas. It did feel like we were in a big city, or a city that had big buildings around it, and real metropolitan, concrete, brick, all of that, mortar, all of that, right? And we were teaching, and it just felt different outside. The people were just, a lot of people are outside driving around, and there was an undertone of we gotta get um, we gotta shut down before the sun goes down. We want to be done long before the sun goes, not long, but a couple of hours before the sun goes down. And as we were teaching, it just got increasingly more and more. The spirit continued to turn up, and the people in the city were just anxious and moving around. And you can hear Jake driving around with the loud music, and the sun's up and it's bright still. What I hadn't realized until I looked back and thought about the dream as the dream went on, and I thought about it after I woke up. Well, quick to make the story faster. Um, I mean, the story was kind of crazy, to tell it all. But to tell it all, the short of the story was this: camp ended. We were heading back to our cars to go home, and we knew that we had to do some things before the sun went down. All right, we had to try to cook um, on the grill. We had to grill. We were all gonna meet up, but we all had things to do um, at our personal homes. But we were all gonna meet up at a brother's house because there was like an open area, like a really big grass area where this brother's house was at, and it was like right next to a park or something, and they had grills and all of that out there, and that's what we were gonna do. And as I'm going through the dream, I don't know why that's part of the dream or not, but as the dream goes on, it makes more sense. Now, as I'm walking back to my car, um, I don't recall who, but I'm taking it as a warning. Um, a Jake, I'll just say it this way: a Jake in a convertible um, pulls up and he's like, "Check out my car," blah 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 blah, and whatever else. And you can kind of hear like the people, like the city, just kind of in an uproar. There's people all over. Just moving and shaking and doing a lot. And the spirit was just heavy on us at camp because we was like, you people walking around here dumbfounded and don't know what's going on. And we were prophesying and everything. And so after it ended, this is where it began to make sense. The guy in the convertible said, hop in, let me take you up the block. And it was like a Rolls Royce or Maybach or something. We hop in and we take off. And he takes off fast. And why I hopped in, it didn't feel like I was supposed to hop in or anything like that. Like I really knew the guy, but as I thought about it, it was more so to just tell this angle of the story. So as we go on, Jake is like blaring down the roads, but it doesn't feel like a metropolitan city anymore. It feels more like the South. I lived in the South before, Louisiana, Texas, and whatnot, so it feels like that type of thing. Like there's a block party going on. There's a lot of people. So he takes me through the hood, basically, and as we're going through the hood, people are just out, and it's starting to get darker. I mean, the sun's going down. It's like twilight, so there's still light outside or whatever, but it's not dark. But people are outside, and you can smell everybody's barbecuing and got music going. And I'm still not catching on to what's going on, which when I figured it out, and the image on the left will explain it all. But he goes down these certain streets. He's running down up and down these streets, speeding, and then there's a big group of people, and I don't even know why. Maybe because the fight just happened a couple of days ago, or they're still talking about it. But I'm in there, and Gervonta Davis, I don't know why he's in the dream or not, but he runs up and catches the car. Like as we make a turn, he catches us at the turn, catches the car, dives onto the back of the car, and grabs my garment. I thought it was just like a collar, but he grabs basically my clothing or my garment. I'm figuring the garment makes more sense. Grabs my garment and pulls himself into the car, but we're trying to like shake him. And he pulls himself into the car and hops into the back seat of this convertible. And the convertible's white. Now, I don't know what this has to do with anything or the color of the car. I hadn't figured all that out. I wanted to try to get this out before I didn't remember this dream. And like, I'm not one that has a lot of prophetic dreams, but it became prophetic. Like, this would just seem like a silly ass dream. At this point, I'm just like, man, this is a dumbass dream. Jake having a block party, and they got music, and this nigga, how the fuck I get in the car with the niggas, stay away from niggas, and that's just what I'm thinking as I'm going through the dream. So we hit the block, and then we hit another block. All of a sudden, we see cop cars whiz by on another street, running basically parallel. And I said, hey, hey man, let me out. He goes, yeah, I got you. What I'm gonna do? And then all of a sudden, the cars turn there behind us, and we're still smashing down these streets. It's a lot of streets, and there are real tall trees and old trees, and it's just like the time is just getting darker and darker. You can just feel how the sun is going down real fast, and I'm like, man, I got shit to do. I gotta go. And so he says, the guy, the driver, which I can't see the driver's face, he says, and like, I don't even remember if Gervonta Davis or whatever is even in the car or whatever, but he's sitting behind me, and Gervonta Davis is. Now the driver says, I'm gonna go to my mama's house. I said, all right, but let me out over by the park, which was the park that brother was supposed to meet up at. I got things to do over there. Now, mind you, my car is back where the camp spot was at, more of a metropolitan area or whatever, but that has nothing to do with the dream. You know how dreams go. So we pull up, he hits a couple corners, dip, left, right turns, right, left, whatever, loses the cops for a split second. I hop out, I run through like a field, but it's like a wooded field, like there's a bunch of trees. I hop out in bushes and whatever. I hop out, run through there, they take off, and they go on about their business. I'm jogging through there, like trotting through the little field or whatever, and I'm trying to come out of the clearing, and it's like crazy and chaotic in there. It's like it's a fucking field, man, overgrown field, bushes and trees and shit. And I'm coming out of the clearing, and it's starting to the bushes are starting to get a lot neater and more organized. like somebody's caring for some of these on the edge as I'm coming out of it. And I look over, because I'm kind of hiding, making sure that the cops don't see me, because they're still going up and down the street. Now they're passing me on the street, but I'm in the bushes and they don't see me. It's not quite dark, but it's about, where the sky still got some light to it, where you can see without headlights, but people are starting to turn on their headlights. The street lights will be on in the next few minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes, right? So I look over and the cops are, running around looking, speeding, and whatever. You can hear the uproar of the people, and I'm coming out of the bushes toward the park, and I cross the street, and I'm over to the grass of the park now. Behind the park, there's a row of houses that connect to the other side of the park, and that's like where people's yards are, and then people are all lined up in that in the park. They got all the tables, and it's almost like that the park is their backyard type of thing. But they've got their cars out there, got the music turned up in the cars, and then that's when I noticed something's off, because a lot of cars have headlights facing their table that they got their little party at, and the grill and all of that, toward the house, facing in toward the houses parked up against the park. And as I run across the grass and I'm running over to the house that I know, I go to hop the fence, but I think I'm at the brother's house and I'm about to hop his fence, and I'm like, no, this brother has a dog, has a big dog, and I'm looking for the dog and I don't see it. As I'm at the top of the gate, about to jump down, that's when the dog comes on. I was like, oh hell no, I don't know this brother's dog like this. So I jump down, and right then you can see the brother coming around the corner, but he's getting towed by a tow truck, and his car's on the back, and there's like three brothers in the tow truck, right? They all hop out, and now they get out, and we sit down, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna get the grill going. We start talking. I start talking about what was going on, and that part kind of fast forward, and then the cops all of a sudden coming up and down the block, and I was like, man, they looking for somebody, bro. They like, I was like, man, they might be looking for me, because I think they're looking for that white car. Yeah, man, why'd you leave in that white car? And as we're talking about it, and I'm about to explain what was all going on, a bunch of cops, maybe 50 cops, because the police are wilding. They start coming down the park, sweeping the whole park, like going through, like they're on foot now, going through the city, through the park area, going up and down the houses. But it's like they're sweeping the city, and they're coming across, and they're looking for everybody. And I was like, whoa, shit, like, and it's just serious. So they're looking to see who's who, and right when they were before the brother pulled up, and I hopped off the fence with the dog, I was about to sit on the neighbor's patio furniture. I was actually gonna lay down, just so I wouldn't be seen with plain eyes, almost hiding. Um, and so as this is happening, that's when he pulled up, blah blah blah. And then we start talking. Then that's when they came down with the sweep. They were on foot. They had the vest over the shirts. They had guns drawn. They had badges out, and they were just checking everybody. And you can smell the barbecue and loud music, and they're trying to shut the music down. Everybody, little circle of people, at their yard in this park area, had music going, but us. They get there because we're talking. I was just breaking down what was going on when we went up and down the streets, and what I saw, more so, what I saw over the city. It was a lot of the same situation. It wasn't just this park. It wasn't just this neighborhood that had people barbecuing and had their cars and music. Jake wilding, Jake going up and down the street. Now that group of kids, I think Gervonta Davis, the boxer, I don't know why his face was in it, but maybe little nigglets. I don't know what he represented per se, but they were in a group of a big group of young Jakes, boys, girls, whatever, and they were probably anywhere from, I don't know, 10, maybe even younger, 10 to teenagers to young adults, all the way up, right? And they were just wandering the city. And it was probably 100 or 200. It was a big group of them. They were just wilding, running around. loud, causing havoc, smelling like weed and whatever else. And so anyway, I'm breaking it down. The cops come, they searching us and looking for something, and they go up in the brother's house and they going in houses. And I was like, oh shit. And as one of them was coming out, he looked like he was kind of in charge. It's a light skinned Jake. I don't know what he has to do with anything, but I was like, hey, you look like y'all looking for something particularly. He said, yeah, we are. And I was like, what are you looking for? He comes out with some spray cans. Now all of a sudden, because I paint a little bit, he comes out with some of my spray cans. Now I don't spray paint, but I do have spray paint. And the brother has spray paint because he probably does repairs on his house. And I'm like, so I say that to the cop, like, hey, you looking for spray paint? Somebody spray painted something? And as I'm saying it, I look across the park toward the street, away from the houses toward the street. And I see that there was cop cars that had spray paint on them. And it was white spray paint on the cars, on the police cars, like that face the cars. And so they're trying to rinse it off, the cop car off, the paint off of it. And it's not, and this is getting darker and darker. Now it's not as brightly lit. It's pretty much dark, dusk, where you can't really, you can see, but it's not navy blue sky. It's still like a blue sky, but the sun is not out no more. And there's some street lamps that are still throughout this little park area that are coming on. And this is where it gets into the image on the left here with these candles and whatnot. And so the cops are like, yeah, we're looking for it. And I was like, so he goes and he starts spraying next to the on the cop car next to the car to see if the paint matched. And then he's spraying on something and he's just vigorously doing it. And I was just like, hey man, like, how do you expect to have the right color? I said, matter of fact, so he comes and just throws a couple cans down. I go, because I'm like, I don't have that type of white or whatever. And he goes, yeah, well, we have to make sure. And as he sprays, I go, hey man, this ain't even paint. This is like a lacquer type of, like a coating to put over stuff. And he goes, so they kind of just move on from us, Then I asked the brother to go to the bathroom. And this is when the dream really started to make all the sense. Why my stuff was at the brother's house, I don't know, but hey, going back to the to this, I go, bro, can I use your bathroom? I go in there, I see the dog's cool, whatever, and then I just go back into the house, and there's no lights on in the house, but there were candles throughout the house, a few here, a few there, and then I look up at the light fixtures, like, damn, why is it dark? And it was like the kitchen light, it was like really dimly lit, like it was about to go off, like barely, like what I realized later, there was barely any power running through the house. Okay, so that some of the lights in the house were on, but they were very dim. And so I go in the bathroom, and it's some candles, but it's like a dimly lit bathroom light in there. There's barely any light. You can just basically make out, because I was thinking to myself, this is to, make sure you don't miss. Basically, I had to take stand up and pee or whatever, and it's like I don't want to miss on his brother's in his brother's bathroom. So make sure, and that's what my focus was. Well, after I woke up, I realized the power was out. Okay, it was more like a EMP, or the power was being controlled. Okay, so he had a candle in there, and he had dimly lit lights, and there was a few candles through the house, and then that's when I realized outside, the tow truck that pulled up, his car went off because we were shining the light upon the camp, so we can teach longer. People were driving up and down the block, and people down the street, they had their cars that had their area lit. Okay, and the car started dying. I think the brother's car battery died. Is why he had a tow. His car towed, and what it made me understand was, well, let me get this other image right quick. Two images. I'm gonna probably use this image for another video as well. But if I bring this up closer, you can see half Um, this was the State of the Union from a couple days ago, and um, you can see half of them are standing up when he says certain things, the other half is sitting, and that's that says what it says. But in some of the things, he was saying some outlandish things. Okay, and I'm not gonna get into what he was saying, but it dawned on me as I thought about everything that was going on in the dream. They've created such a stir with this presidency in the first within this first 100 days or whatever it's been, that between these three, you don't know, you can expect anything. Okay, so if they decided to cut the power to the American people, it is very possible, you know, that this could happen. Okay, or something happened to the country. These are the times we're living in. This could happen, and it's a very real reality that this could happen under this administration, under these three guys. One guy could say, we got to do it to cut funding. We got to do it to stop China from stealing our information. Russia's trying to do blah, blah, blah. And all these situations could easily happen any day under this administration. Police could start going through the hood and sweeping, looking for certain individuals or certain groups even. Okay? I remember the cop even asked, everybody's got music on, why don't y'all? And I, replied, as a human resource guy, I replied like, hey, we were talking. When you guys rudely interrupted us, we were talking. And that kind of backed the cop off from asking that question because he was caught up in how I answered him. I was like, hey, we were rudely interrupted in the conversation we were having. That, we didn't need music. Plus, it dawned on me later, we didn't want to burn out our all of our batteries. And that's what we were talking about. The whole city's out. Turn off and start preserving your phone energy. But I think certain phones and certain technologies in the house will still work. Or you can still charge certain things. Certain areas have power. When I was driving through the city, that's what you can see. Certain areas still have power. The grocery store still had what they had. The local Walmart. When we drove past it, I could see a Walmart when I looked over. We were driving fast. We're being it was like a damn near a police chase. We were being chased, but this car was super fast that we were in. And when we looked over at the Walmart, it was full thrive. Now, what I realized is people were heading in there to get food and candles and whatnot, because trying to preserve, trying to have as much light before it got dark. The other part that dawned on me, everybody was grilling because the refrigerators were going out and people were confused. And so the way the dream ended pretty much was us talking. And as we were talking, I looked up and we were just in a group. All the brothers were there. I mean, I couldn't see anybody's face, but it felt like we were all there and our families. And we were sitting around a table, like a picnic table, sitting around talking in different, seating arrangements or whatever. And then like the whole park or everybody in that neighborhood begun to circle us and listen to our conversation as their stereos and cars started dying. It's like they were asking questions and trying to figure out what was going on. And brothers were breaking down, the prophecies of what was going on, so on and so forth. So, the waterfront doing that. So I'm gonna grab a few scriptures here. I'm gonna start with this one in Acts 2. And Lord, when it all comes to surface, it all comes to mind, and this can be something for you that's watching this, more of an understanding of the times that we're living in. And the thing that got me was these three people, the leadership in this country right now, anything could happen any day, and it's not far-fetched. Okay, it's not far-fetched that the lights could go out. It's not far-fetched the grocery stores could be closed, that martial law could happen, because these are all the elements of what was happening out there. All right, now that's where this comes in. Okay, and it goes even deeper as I thought more upon it. Then I was like, let me go ahead and just turn the camera on. But Acts chapter 2, verse 17, and it shall come to pass in the last days, saith Yahweh, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and young men shall see visions, and old men shall dream dreams. And that's what was happening in that group at the end of the dream, as the brothers were sitting around and their families were sitting around. The brothers that are like in the camp were pretty much leading the conversation, and people from the outside would say, "Yeah, man, I had a dream about such and such the other day," and then I noticed, and we were really just breaking it down to the people. Yeah, that's because the mark of the beast is if you go in that store now, you're gonna have to, you're gonna have to sell your soul, and they were saying whatever, people, and we were actually edifying the people. No, that's not what that means. It means it's this implant thing that they're telling you to get. It's this, we were actually breaking certain things down, and it was just in like a conversation type forum. But I mean, as I glanced up, because we were just in the midst of the conversation just happening, and I looked up, and so many people had gathered, and I mean, like you couldn't see, like the park was pretty much, like everybody even came as it got darker and darker, and the sun went all the way down, and and car batteries, you can hear them going off, and it got quieter and quieter from all the music and the loud chatter and uproar. You can feel like the people started gathering around the prophets, trying to hear what was going on. Okay, and we were just explaining it. And then the people were saying, yeah, I had a dream. My son and my wife had a dream about this, and they said this and that, and then the military, and then blah, blah, blah. And they were just all this different things that were lining right up with prophecy. Okay, and that's this scripture came to mind. It says, and on my servants and on my handmaidens I will pour out in those days of my spirit, and they shall prophesy. And that's what some people were. Some people had it right that were in the crowd. And they were saying, yeah, I had a dream that World War III was about to kick off. And I was getting drafted, and my son was getting drafted. And what we started to do is we started to hit precepts. A brother pulled his sword out, and started hitting precepts. Basically backing up what the dreams that were accurate, backing up what they were. And there were some naysayers, of course. That's bullshit. I'm leaving. I'm going home. And somebody, I remember this one guy was like, man, I'm leaving. This is bullshit. I'm going home. And another guy was like, hey, where you going to go? Ain't no lights in the house. And if you don't have candles, and somebody handed him some candles, and he took off like two candles, and everything was like two candles, two white candles, like the like the long ones, right? And people were just kind of handing those around, like they were just passing them around, like this is commonplace to have them. If you don't, everybody got candles, everybody got candles. You're just handing out two candles. And, I kept thinking the two candlesticks, you know, uh, the northern and southern kingdom coming together, and it was everybody. It was all types of people. Nobody was concerned about race as it was about understanding. We wasn't recruiting, but you can see certain people accepting the information and certain people were rejecting it. But most were just confused, so they were just listening and trying to grasp the sense of what was going on, right? And we were bringing up different world events that had been leading up to it, right? It says, "And I will show wonders in heaven above and in the." And I remember, or I remember the thought after was like brothers was looking up, and in chariots, man. Well, there was that. That's not a spaceship, man. That's a that's just a star in heaven. That's Elon Musk doing something up there. And the naysayers saying what they're saying. I'm trying to recall a little bit more, but this was a heavy situation, and it was like, man, he don't have nothing that moves like that up there. And we understand, hey, man, it's not for everybody. If you believe, then you believe. But this is how we escaped that World War III that you and your son was talking about. It was just a real conversation. And I remember particularly thinking, got to make sure we carry our voices so people in the back can hear it. And you can hear people, what is it? But it was like When we start speaking, it got stone quiet. Like everybody kind of hushed. It got really quiet when the brothers on the inside were speaking, and when we would say something, then there was like a murmur kind of going around. But then when we started speaking again, they all got quiet to hear what we were saying. Like we were clearly the authority in the area because we were the ones that wasn't panicked. We were the ones that had understanding, that had answers. Now there's other people, man, it's just such and such, man, this is gonna be over. FEMA will come here next week and then we'll all be fine. Or tomorrow they'll be here and it'll be fine. The lights will be back on tomorrow. Saying all this and that. And they start breaking the scenario down. You were in the Walmart, wasn't you? The Walmart's empty. Everybody cleared the Walmart out. So now what? There's no food in there. There's nothing in there no more. Like, even if the lights come on tomorrow, what are you gonna do in a few days when you need food? They gotta go back and they're gonna restock it. How? The gas station was empty. Everybody was lined up at the gas station and cars ran out of gas. And cars were running out of gas because people kept running their cars. Okay, and that's how the cars were dying more than the batteries going off. Okay, and so it was a lot of just chaos kind of going on, right? And so it says, and I will show wonders in heaven above and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. And I didn't look up, there was a lot of tall trees around, but we were looking around. I didn't take note if there was a new moon or if it was a Sabbath, with the different phases of the moon. I didn't take note of that, but brothers were looking up. I didn't recall that in the vision. It says, "In the sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and notable day of the Lord come." And that just lets me know that even in these times that we're coming into, there's a blood moon that's coming on the Passover. Okay, the blood moon, the day of the Passover that's coming. So it's a full moon, it's a blood moon, which we know the Passover happens on a full moon, which is a Sabbath. Okay, and all of that. So these signs are not for nothing, and we were explaining that to the people. We've been telling you, we've been out there, y'all. I know some of y'all seen us over on Blase, this corner and that corner teaching, and you just fan the hand and thought it was nothing. But now you want the info. But we wasn't like, now you can't get it. We wasn't teasing the people like that. We were more happy to expound these things onto the people. And people were really, and you can feel that there was a lot of people were actually listening, and whole families were out there, men, women, children were all out there listening, like really trying to get understanding. Okay, and it was a beautiful thing. That was one of the best. To have a camp like that would be a great thing to be able to warn the masses. Because right now people don't listen to us. But whatever. Anyway, back to but it just came to mind that when this was happening, the people were intently listening. I mean, they were locked in. Like you hope Jay get locked in. When they show up at camp, the people were locked in. And it was mass amounts of people locked in, asking good questions, adding unto the statements in the scriptures. Yeah, in church, I remember the scripture when I was young and everything else. Okay. And it felt good. You could feel the spirit actually moving through us and throughout the people. And it kind of calmed the people in a sense, because there was a murmur and an uproar generally about it. But I couldn't tell you how they showed up. We were just talking amongst ourselves. I was telling everybody what was happening in the city. Hey, don't go to Walmart. It's done. That store is over, hopefully. And people bringing everything out of their freezers and grilling it up. And as we were talking, they just gathered. So let me get a few other precepts and I'm going to close. But that was pretty much the dream. And some of these scriptures came to mind. Now, matter of fact, before I grab this, Lamentations chapter 5, verse 17. For this our heart is faint, for these things our eyes are dim. Now let me start up. Okay, because that's what I kept seeing. That's where the image on the left comes from. Everything was in dim light. Come on, man. All right. Everything was in dim light. As time went on and it got darker and darker, um, it was dim outside. Okay, and that's just the word that kept, as I woke up, kept playing over and over and over in my mind. It's dim in here. It's dim. It's dim. It's dim. And so I'll read this and then I'll get into that word. Um, Lamentations 5 verse 8, it says, servants shall rule over us. There is none, and that's talking about the heathen, particularly the Edomites ruling over us, right? But then it goes into this actual time of the Babylonians, right? To qualify it. Anyway, it says, there is none that do deliver us out of their hand. We get our bread, and important thing about knowing how this still attributes to now is we're in the new Babylon, the virgin daughter of Babylon, Babylon the Great. Now, so the things that happened in ancient Babylon can um, can be applied to now. You know, particularly the mind state of Jake, particularly the way the prophets were out there. All of this ties right into Babylon. Okay, and then you got to know where it crosses over, because ancient Babylon just fell to the Medo-Persian Empire. Okay, you know, the Assyrian, and all of that. They all fell to the Medo-Persians. Okay, but this one in Babylon, if you understand Babylon, it was only the southern kingdom that went into captivity under the Babylonians. But the scriptures cross over when you know that the north and the southern kingdoms were in Babylon. Okay, and that Babylon, Babylon the Great, the virgin daughter of Babylon, goes out with fire. They don't just go down. The Babylon actually is destroyed with the lake of fire, with fire and brimstone. Okay, and we've broken it down that, hey, World War III is going to kick off, and all of these other things. Okay, and then this here speech, State of the Union, you watch Trump talk about we're withdrawing from all these other treaties and parties and groups and taking our money out of it, and we're not giving no more foreign aid and all these things, further pissing off the other nations. But anyway, so um, showing you that the times are lining up with the prophecies of Babylon the Great going down. But anyway, back in this, it says, we got our bread with the peril of our lives because of the sword of the wilderness. Our skin is black like an oven because of the terrible famine. And when I saw the Walmart basically being ransacked, and I was telling them, hey, don't go to Walmart, man. It was chaos over there. But it was still lit up over there. Parking lot lights were on and everything. Cars were pulling up. You know, it was just crazy. We wasn't close, but I could like look across the field and kind of see across the parking lot from the street and see up by the building that it was just going chaos over there. But it's going to create a famine when the food runs out, because Jake was grilling up everything. When the food runs out, that's it. The scriptures talk about famine. Okay, and then in these dimly lit houses, you know, you can only, I start to think like, wow, keep your families close, and and you got to be cautious about who's around, because they ravished the women in Zion and their maids in the city of Judah. And we should know what that word ravish means. Okay. All right. So your daughters and your wives, sisters and mamas and all, man, people gonna go crazy, man. Okay. When all the stress of what's happening in these times is people gonna go crazy. They're going to be looking for anything for comfort. Food will dwindle down, and as it's dwindling away, people are going to start looking for other things to comfort them. Okay, because electronics are gone. That's your comfort now, is your electronics. When that's gone, then food, and when that's almost gone or controlled, okay, then what are people going to look for? Well, there's a perverse spirit that's going on the earth through these devices. Okay, I was watching something, TikTok or Instagram or whatever the hell it was, and the 90s sus, it was a title, it was like 90s sus lyrics, rap lyrics, and they had a bunch of rap lyrics, people saying certain things, and he's like, how they're taking what was said in that time and applying it to the thought process of now. And everything that they were saying now had a sexual connotation to it, like a perverse sexual connotation to it. But that's not how it was intended or even taken in those times that these songs were written. And I remember some of the songs, you know, and it was like that Round Two by what's that guy? It was the LL Cool J, and that's just crazy that you don't remember this guy no more. Solid rapper, whatever, battle rapper. Can't even think of his name. He was on that 1, 2, 3, 4, and basically, he was like, "You don't have the skill to eat a nigga ass like me." And if your mind go, and he was talking about just destroying him in a rap battle, but now the way the perversion that's in the minds of these people, with the internet just being open to all these crazy minds and crazy spirits all over it. Now what was coming to mind? Now you're thinking nasty, perverse things, because that's what's in the rap music today. WAP and whatever else, and eat the booty like cereal or like groceries or whatever. Oh man, and these are women saying these things in today's music. So when you put all that together, these young minds that don't understand the difference, of the times, they just hearing old songs and thinking that that's how that goes, or just trying to make viral videos or whatever they're doing. But they're putting that energy out there because that's what's in people's minds now. Okay? And so you got to imagine that spirit is going to take hold of some people. That demon is going to take hold of some people, and they're not going to be able to contain themselves, and they're going to go take what they want out the earth. And I'm going to just say it that way. All right? Verse 12, princes are hanged by their hands, and faces of elders were not honored. Excuse me. That's clear. They took their young men to grind. The children fell under the wood. The elders have ceased from their gate. And the people that are supposed to be giving information, like something I didn't think about, but I'm thinking about now, is where, I didn't recognize seeing anybody at a church. I didn't see any churches. I didn't recognize any churches. And I don't mean church's chicken. I mean the church house. Like, where were the pastors at? What were they saying? Where were the elder men of the city? What were they saying? That wasn't there. Everybody was gathered around us. Right? It says the young men from their music. The elders have ceased from their gate, the young men from their music. And, when the music cut off in all these cars, Jake had these subwoofers and the loud music and all of that. All that eventually died out with the gas in their cars or the batteries. All right, it says, the joy of heart is ceased. Our dance is turned into mourning. It went from a happy block party when I first got to there, and it was still a little light out when we were teaching. And then driving through the city, it was all lived up and people racing down the street and dancing and doing all of this. YNs doing whatever they doing. Okay? And it wasn't just black YNs. It was everybody, man. Just all the neighborhood kids were just out there wilding. Okay? And all the dancing and the fun energy as power began to fade out. And candlelight was more of what was being used around, and a few cars still had a little power left. And the street lights was kind of on, but they wasn't even fully bright. That's when the seriousness started to set in. Okay, the joy of heart is ceased. Our dance is turned into mourning. The crown is fallen from our head. Woe unto us that we have sinned. And that crown is fallen, man. We were a great people, man. Long before this, we were the children of Israel. We were the princes of the power, Yasharallah. Okay? And then this is how low we've become. That our people have no understanding, that they don't listen to the elders, they don't prepare for these times, though the prophets have been warning for these times. Okay? It says, for this our heart is faint, talking about our mind is weak, and these things our eyes are dim. Okay? And I was going to read this in the NLT. Maybe I'll do it now. But I want to get that word dim. Let's go to the blue letter. This is in the NLT, and I can't, anyway, 5 verse 8. Slaves have now become our masters. There is no one left to rescue us. Okay? And we were giving hope to the people that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua was going to rescue his elect. And it was going to get far worse. We were telling people, hey, it's going to get far worse. And this may be the this may be the last time you hear anything of us. The brother was like, yeah, I'm moving from right here. So they wouldn't just bombard his house. Says we hunt for food at the risk of our lives. And that's what it made me think about. People were going out to try to find food. Now, is that what it's talking about? But this is how it goes. Food was scarce, man. All right, the violence rules the countryside, and that's what it was, man. That's what it's coming back to, violence all over the city. The famine has blackened our skin as though baked in an oven, and the lack of circulation and all of that, because people aren't eating, man, the skin begins to get darker and black and unnourished. There's no oxygen that's keeping you alive like that. Your heart slows down because it's looking for food and water and drinks, and you're just coming up short. It says, our enemies grape the women, in Jerusalem and the young girls in the towns of Judah. Our princes are being hanged by their thumbs, and the elders are treated with contempt. Disbelief, with anger, with a standoffish murmur type energy, right? Young men are led away to work at millstones. The boys stagger under heavy loads of wood. And when I thought of that, I even thought the draft. Okay? But they're led away and taken captive to do other things. All right? You just got to know, like, I never saw that YN group, like that whole age group between like 10 or 12 or whatever to like 20, they were nowhere to be found. They wasn't in that group of people. It was all grown-ups and elderly people and young children. Kids under double digits that the parents still had to supervise and had control of. That other group, they never showed up. Who knows where they were? And it was one big, large group of those kids. And the elders no longer sit in the city gates, because you sat there, when you understand the ancient custom of it, we sat there to check everybody coming in and out the city and what they were doing, and also remind them of keeping the law coming in and out, and that this was a place of our people. It was like watchmen at the gate. Like, hey, man, what you coming in here for? What's your business here? We're spiritual doormen, for the city. And then we also gave edification, directions. We guided you. You looking to go to this family or this part? Okay, yeah, we know them. Yeah, we heard y'all were coming. Head on down over there. Oh, that's where y'all, Shalom. And then, when it was peace. Oh, you coming in here with you got business with them? Nah, man, we'll tell them to come out to you. We explained the situation. We had the understanding. Well, that doorman, if you was say you owned the club, and the doorman wasn't on his job, which what the elders of the city was there to do, there was no runaways and all of that. People left out. You understood that. Okay, these many people left out to go gather out of the forest, out of the wilderness or whatever, and they'll be back at this time with the goods that they went to go retrieve. Okay? Well, if there's no elders at the gate, there's no one watching what's coming in or leaving out. Okay? There's no protection at the gate, no doorman. If you don't have a doorman or a bouncer, so to speak, even at the entrance of the club, what happens, man? Any old body comes in there, they don't get frisked, patted down and make sure they're not bringing weapons in. They can take over the club, rob, all types of bad things could happen. Okay, well, this is what spiritually is happening unto our people. Okay, the young men no longer dance and sing. Joy has left our hearts. Our dancing has turned into mourning. The garlands have fallen from our heads. Weep for us because we have sinned. Okay, and this is the issue. This is what's happening unto Jake, because we have sinned against Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Okay, and as a prophets, we warn everybody, hey, this is what's supposed to be happening, man. This is going to happen because we have our faith has to be tested to see if it's of the Holy Spirit. Everybody's faith has got to be tested. Okay, every Negro, Latino, Native American, Israelite, foreigner, all the people of the earth, everybody's got to be tested and condemned in this time and judged in this time. Those that have been studying for the test, so to speak, that have been believing the prophets and conducting their lives differently and repenting, so on and so forth, they'll pass the test. The people that have not, hey, the judgment comes no different, with negativity. Verse 17, our hearts are sick and weary, our eyes grow dim with tears. Now, once to this word dim, go to the word dim, because that's a word that kept standing out. Chashak, it's like chashak, right? And when you get down, it says to be or become dark, grow dim, be darkened, be black, be hidden. And this is the things that dawned on me as I woke up and was thinking about it, and that word kept playing over and over and over in my mind. That's the spirit, because there's another video I gotta upload. Anyway, as that's crazy. I didn't even think of that. But as everything was dim, and the day became dimmer and darker as the sun continued to go down throughout this dream, that's what was happening, man. Everything just grew darker. But when you think of it, watch as I go down, explain it. Grow dim, to make dark, to obscure, to conceal, to hide, confuse. And that was the main thing on the people, was the confusion of the time. Okay, people were confused on how to act. And when the sun was still up, even though the power was already out, people were confused about what they should be doing. YNs were wandering, and I couldn't figure out what kind of block party was this. But everybody's just out. Like, everybody in the city is just out, because there's no technology in the house. There's no power to push the technology in the house. Okay, nobody wanted to be in the house. There was nothing going on in the house. Okay, and because of technology, they've set up these houses to where they're almost like caves, man. Big thick curtains and whatever else. People love light and airy houses and real open floor plans and lots of natural light coming in. That's good when you have something nice, but when you get into these housing projects, hey man, the windows get scarce, man. There's only a few windows. There's the minimum requirement of windows per room, and the bathrooms particularly didn't have a window. Right? Coming back to this isn't Calgon take me away moment. Yeah, you're gonna wish that, but that bathroom, to be able to use the bathroom, you couldn't see, because there was no light, even in the daytime. There was no light in the bathroom. You couldn't see where the faucet was. The water was still running. When I washed my hands, the water was still going, but the power was off. Okay? And this was just how the dream was, man. It was just so dim, but the people's minds were what was really dim. Okay? Everybody was confused. Everybody couldn't understand what was going on. But there were some that could. All right? Now let's go over to 2nd Esdras. 2nd Esdras chapter 5, verse 8. There shall be a confusion, okay, also be in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. Okay? And it just had me thinking, like, the city was wilding, man. Everybody was wilding. There was all kinds of things happening. Random animals walking around, people's dogs loose. And then it, my mind, as I thought about it after, with all these animals running wild and loose, eventually when the stores run out of food and the famine, Jacob's going to start taking these animals, man, as he did in the ancient world, 70 AD. And even in ancient Babylon, man, people it was a famine. Okay? People began to, man, do the worst thing. Cannibalism came eventually. So they went through the animals. They ran through the trees and the fruit and stuff off the trees. All that been gone. Okay? And we know the prophecies say that cannibalism, they will eat the fruit of their young in the curses in Deuteronomy. which is an unspoken thing to do. It's against the law. But it would happen under the curses. It says, and salt water shall be found in the sweet. And people did have alternating viewpoints, from other, I was a Hebrew Israelite under this group, just how it played out in my mind after the fact, not in the dream, but after I was thinking it through. People had alternate viewpoints. Oh, that don't mean that mean this. He's like, man, we'll go down in front of your house and teach that, man. Well, you go down there and see how many people go with you. And people left, which is fine for us. Brothers who quote scriptures, he that is filthy, let him be filthy still, man. If y'all want to believe that, you go ahead and make your moves according to that. And that's around the time when the brother was like, hey, I won't be here. I'm not going to live here. Y'all won't see me around here no more. Right? It says, and salt water shall be found in the sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another. Right? Then shall wit hide itself. The understanding is going to hide itself. That quick thinking, understanding, and quick, okay, we got to do this. That's just going to be gone. There's going to be nowhere to be found. Okay? And understanding withdraw itself into his secret chamber. Okay? Because we're not going to be around. Our tongues are going to cleave to the roof of our mouths. We're not going to be there to explain it no more. Okay? Hey, man, I seen you at the park. And you was teaching my grandma, man, what you should do. And so what should we do now? Now that the food and all the stores are gone, what should we do now? I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, where you going? I don't know, man. I don't know. Just trying to find a way to get out. Get away from Jake, man. It says, and shall be sought of many, and shall not be found. Then shall unrighteousness and incontinency be multiplied in the earth. Everybody's going to be incontent, man. They're going to be anxious and just like they're not going to be satisfied. There's going to be problems, man. Just going to be problems everywhere, multiplied to where people are going to begin to invade one another, as it says in the 15th chapter of 2nd Esdras. For the lack of, let me grab it. I start at 14, 2nd Esdras 15, verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. Okay, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Made me think of it when gas was gone. Okay, gas was down. The car batteries was down, and there was a military presence in the city, and the cops were doing a sweep through the city, looking for certain individuals. All right, and I'm saying individuals and groups. Right? It says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And people were afraid. They didn't want to outwardly say it, but we knew the people were scared. That's why they were gathering around. So the man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. And you got to know, in that type of dark lighting, when I thought about the ravaging and all of that, hey, where your kids at, man? Where my daughter at? Hey, get them around. Y'all stay close. Okay? You think like that because Jacob's going to go through these houses, man, looking for whatever they can find. They're going to break into these houses thinking you got something. Even if it's just they see more light because you got more candles. They're going to want to eventually get in there. Okay? Because it says, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Okay? Incontinency and so on and so forth. Okay? Let's go back. 5 and 11, 2nd Esdras 5 and 11. One land shall ask another and say, is righteousness that maketh the man righteous gone through thee? And it shall say, no. Hey, do y'all know what them prophets are? What should we do to get right with God, man? People gonna be trying, I'm gonna get right with God. And then all of this, I'm gonna get right. It's too late. It's too late, Jake. It's too late. You don't have the understanding. It's too late. And that's why this is always a stern message in these times, and it's so prophetic in these times because, hey, you got to get right before. The prophecy comes before. We warn you before. You don't wait to the to the day of the test to study, to the test is starting. Okay, everybody take out your pencils and get ready. Here's the test. You don't wait for that day. Surprise test. You don't wait for that day to study. It's too late. You had to have been studying all up to that point that you're now ready to perform the test. Okay, a few more precepts. Yeah, just a couple more and I close. Yeah. Yeah, I'll read this. Isaiah 32:2. A man shall be as an hiding place from the wind. And that's like a man of the Lord that's breaking things down and guiding a certain group of people. Everybody's not going to be privy to that moment or that situation. Okay? And a covert from the tempest as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land, is going to ease the situation by having a righteous man around you, a man of the Lord around you that has understanding of what's happening and what the game plan. And that information won't be privy to everybody. Okay? There's certain people that will ask you and they won't be worthy, and you won't be able to break it down to them, even if you wanted to. I can't explain it to you. I'm sorry. Can you go? No. But I'm leaving. And the spirit will, and I always thought about it like, Jake gonna try to press you and be up under you and just not let you out of their sight and gonna follow you back to wherever you're going. You see scenarios like this play out in these apocalyptic movies like The Walking Dead and so on and so forth. My favorite episode might have been season 2, where they go to this bar and they run into some more people. Okay, and they end up, but the people, they minds, they were, had malice in their mind, so to speak, and it became a real deadly situation because they didn't want them to come back to the farm with them. That's the episode that comes to mind. Hey, you're not worthy to come back, man. You're not worthy to go where I'm going, to be where I'm gonna be at. You ask people and okay, what's the name of your God? Oh, Jesus. Okay, all right, yeah, all right, that's good. Well, that's where they say Jesus is at over there, going over there. Well, what about you? What do you call it? Yeah, I'll be over there in a minute. And Jake dip out some other way and slide off when somebody start a scuffle and Jake turn to look. You got to dip out and be gone and get out of their sight, man. It's just how I see it. You can't allow everybody to come into your house at that point. The discernment got to be on full height of spirits at that moment, man. You got to be able to read people faster. You got to be able to see the sincerity in people, the righteousness within people. You should be able to see the spirit of Yahweh Shai in certain people, and their humility. Which the type that can't be faked. Okay, it says that the eyes of them that see shall not be dim, and the ears of them that hear shall hearken. And so, you tell them, hey, what you got to bring back to these people, I can't bring you if you're not going to be an asset to where we're going. And we already understand that in the know. We know, hey, I got to be. I'm good with, I got tinctures and whatnot, man. I got access to, I got silver. I got access to this or that. I know herbs. I know healing. I know this language. I know that language. Something to benefit. And you hate to think of it in that way. I got guns. Not to say that we're men of guns. We don't really need that, but just saying. These are the things that people are going to try to bargain with in this time to be in certain areas, in certain groups. Okay? I got these type of skills, but I believe in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. And those are that believe, and then there'll be those that don't, that'll try to get in your group and don't believe. Okay? It says, the eyes of them that see shall not be dim, not be in confusion. Some people are going to recognize, oh, I know who you are. Yeah, I was watching y'all videos. You never met this person. I've seen y'all. Or I saw your wife at the store, and that's when I knew who y'all were, and I saw you with her. That's when I put 2 and 2 together, and you got to make the discernment judgment right then. Right, it says, in the ears of them that shall hear shall hearken. Well, what's the mark of the beast? You might have to have them break something down. What is Acts the 10th chapter talking about? And who's ever, you have to ask them. The vetting process is going to be different, man. It's going to be serious. Okay, the heart also of the rash shall understand knowledge, and the tongue of the stammerer shall be ready to speak plainly. The vile person shall be no more called liberal, and the churl shall be the churl said to be bountiful. That's good enough. 35th chapter. And this I'll close on this one unless something else pops up. Strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. And that's what we were doing in that dream around that table. As we were just talking amongst each other, we looked up and there was a crowd that had gathered around us, of people, it was slowly happening. Then you look up, it was a huge crowd, and people were yelling over the top of the crowd, trying to get understanding. Hey, what do we do about food? Well, you better cook up all the food you can now, and you may want to even try to dry it up. Yeah, there's running water, but we know the water's contaminated. If you got bottled water, you better, do this and that. Because moisture's not your friend, with bad temperatures and so on and so forth. If you're cold, do this, and then, we're trying to just give them whatever. People just throwing in information, survival tactics and whatnot, whatever they can do, whatever they can do. They're trying to do the best they can do, trying to figure it out, trying to understand. And like I said, not everybody was of those that could understand, and some were not, right? Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong. And this is what we were doing. We're telling those believers, hey man, be strong, man. This ain't forever. There's gonna be help. There's gonna be situations. It's gonna be tough. But if you read the scriptures, this is what you should know. Okay, and there's family members around you that believe you, that you're gonna have to be their strength, be their foundation to stand on. You're gonna have to, as the brother said in Atlanta years ago, and had a dream. He said, "I was faith." Okay, I was their faith. I lifted up the faith in the room. I gave them hope and faith in the room. Okay, we got to be that. It said, "Be strong, fear not. Behold, your power will come with vengeance, even the Most High, with the recompense, and will come and save you." These are the things we're going to confirm people with. Hey, if you believe in Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, and you repented and you're going to be the right way, hey, and you can be, you may be of the elect, and hey, you have to endure this to the end. You can't ever waver. No matter how bad the conditions get, you still got to stay on the right side of righteousness, man. Got to have that righteous spirit. All things go into the two great commandments, which, sums it all up to keep it easy. Love the Heavenly Father with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, and treat your brother, your neighbor, as thou would treat thyself. And we say it even more acutely, as you would treat Yahweh Shai. Treat each other as you would treat Yahweh Shai. Okay? And that's a basic guideline to how you would conduct yourself, especially in a chaotic time. Okay? And that shouldn't have to be spoken. Okay? This is what Great Millstone pushes. That shouldn't have to be spoken. And what we see happening over with the Sakari and these other groups and all these other whatever consciousness and whatever the hell they're doing, bugging out and wiggling and struggling, and how come y'all being so mean, and what about mercy, faith, and judgment, man? Hey, we warned y'all. We can't stop you. How come nobody warned them when we was warning them? How come y'all wasn't coming out in droves telling everybody, don't be this way? Maybe they're right. Maybe you should. Now you want us to give mercy. Hey, it don't work this way. Okay? The scripture, and that's another thing. I'm not going to get into that, but that part is said for what it is. Anyway, then shall the eyes of the blind be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. And basically, you strengthen people, you give them hope, you give them faith, you give them something to do. Okay, let's make sure this is hedged up. Let's make sure this is locked up. We're all in here. Jacob's eventually going to try to come up in here when they realize who's in here. And we're moving around, and we can't act like we're going to act regular, but you ain't going to come out with your Israelite t-shirt on, man. Especially if the police are sweeping for certain groups. We know we're going to be on that list for certain groups. Eventually, we know what the scriptures tell us. We know what happened in the time of Acts. But there was a guy at the park breaking it down. There's a bunch of them actually. He used to stay right here. He lived right here. Man, where's that guy at? Where's him and his family at? And be sweeping, man, looking. Okay, we know what this is going to get. The testimony is going to get us locked up, man, and possibly beheaded. Okay? So we got to understand that these are the times we're coming in. I just want to break that dream down. Yeah, I made it real long, but it was a lot in that dream. And it was something going on in my spirit before, anyway. And so this just came into the moment of I guess how it was expressed through me. So Lord, when it was edifying, we'll give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bashim Yahshai Bashim Rachak that belong to our apostles, the bishops, the elders, the great millstone, and greetings, salutations, blessings, much love unto you, hopefully, until the next one. Shalom.